Hello lovely people, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I promise that it will be worthwhile and help you prepare for your winter markets. We are going to be talking about the specific items I bring, as well as how to display those items and how to set realistic goals to motivate yourself to actually pull through and do this, because you can do it. I promise you. If I can do it, you can. Something that I find incredibly important before I get into like the items that I'm going to talk about is knowing the difference between like a seasonal gift versus like a year-round gift. Most people would rather get a year-round gift during Christmas than something they can only have up during Christmas. So I like to have a really good variety of things that don't have anything to do with Christmas and things that do have to do with Christmas, because people like to buy decor and things like that. So having a balance between these two categories is incredibly important. Definitely, I would say bring more of the non-Christmas items than the very obviously Christmas specific items. And there are also people who don't celebrate Christmas, so we gotta be getting gifts for them too. So yeah, that's something that I really wanted to talk about. Also, the last thing I want to say is that you really want to make sure that the things that you're prepping over and over again, and this goes for all markets, but especially in the holiday season where I feel like most business owners are just completely swamped with everything that they have to do, you have to make sure that what you're prepping is actually things you enjoy to prep. Hot take. But if you take something from this list and you're like, oh my gosh, I bet that would sell so well, and then you make one of them and you're like, I hated my life while doing that, don't make it again. Just don't. Do something else. Do something that you really love to do. And yeah, this list is literally just meant to be inspiration for you. I wouldn't recommend just taking every single thing and just doing that, because then it's not unique to you and it doesn't reflect you as a person. It reflects me. So you definitely want your booth to be authentic and comes from your heart and what you actually like to make. So if you're more of a stuffed animal person, then take some stuffies from this list. Or if you're more of a wearables or accessories, then take some from this list. But yeah, that's really important. And yeah, thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. Let's get right into it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more markets and crochet inspiration. So the first portion of this video is going to be all about the stuffed animals that I bring to my markets, and I wanted to start off by talking about the non-Christmas specific items. These are bestsellers that I sell year-round and that do incredibly well at markets. A lot of these you've probably seen a million times, but they work for a reason because they really sell. Now I will say that things shift and change, and one market I'll sell a lot of leggy frogs and then the next market I won't sell any. So it is important to keep in mind that there's no guarantee that any of this will sell, because we all live in different places, we all have different demographics and areas that we live in. So you have to really take into account what your audience is. Do you have mostly children coming to this market, or do you have mostly adults or grandparents? What do you think grandparents want versus children? You know what I mean? So yeah, take into account your audience before you really just delve right into making a ton of stuffed animals. But yeah, these are the stuffed animals that I bring, and all of the patterns and links to the patterns will be in the description below for every single item. So let's get into it. The first stuffed animal that I bring is the leggy frog. Kind of spoiled it a little bit earlier, but yeah, obviously this is one of my best sellers. If you've been watching my channel a long time, you know that I bring these to every single market, and I have since the beginning of time. And there's no secret that these do really well at markets. You might do a bigger version, a smaller version, but if you want one that looks exactly like this, you can follow the pattern down below. And yeah, I sell these for $12, and they do really well at that price point. Obviously, if you make a bigger stuffy, you can sell it for more, but that's what seems to do well for me for leggy frogs. The next item is the duck. This one's also incredibly popular all over the globe, not just on my channel. These are the ducks that I do. I do a yellow duck and a mallard duck. These two do super well, and if you want to, this goes for all of the Christmas ones, you can make like little Santa hats to put on them, but I think they do better whenever they're just completely separate, like I said before. I also sell these for $12, and they do very well as well. It's hard to say which one of the mallard versus yellow, duck does better because one week I'll sell 5 mallards and 0 yellow ducks, and then the next week I'll sell all 10 of my yellow ducks and none of my mallards. So it's really up in the air. The next non-Christmas plushie that I bring is the chicken, also very common. That's why I'm going through these so fast, is because this chicken is literally everywhere. Most people use the Oak and Marlow chicken, which you have to pay for. I found a free version that looks very similar and works for me. I've been thinking about getting the other pattern, but if it works, it works. I sell these for $15 and they do really well. I have a white speckle, a red speckle, and a blue. If you know, you know, with the blue chicken. Okay, well, that's all I'll say about that. This one also does extremely well for me at markets, and it really depends on the audience. The next one is the mushroom. This one is very, very popular too. I'm probably gonna say that about all of these. But I do the chunky mushroom pattern, which I actually have for sale. My pattern's a little different from the one that you've probably seen everywhere. That makes it go just a little bit faster, which is exactly what you want whenever you're prepping for a market where you have to prep a ton of things, is find all of the like worthwhile shortcuts that you can that doesn't compromise the product or your mission or whatever. This one shortens the time down for me just a little bit, and I sell these for $15 just because of the embroidery aspect, and these also do incredibly well. People love mushrooms. The poppet mushroom, I don't do these personally, but those are also really popular because they're like a fidget toy. But I do the chunky mushroom because I think it's cute. And there's an example of me not doing something that's popular because I don't like making it. So I take my own advice, guys, okay? The next one I want to talk about are my dinos. This is what the dino looks like. They are incredibly popular. This pattern is on Pinterest, also linked below, but I will say this pattern has a few mistakes in the actual like document that you look at, but if you look into the comments of the pin, all of the comments explain what the typos and mistakes actually mean. So once you do a little bit of decoding, then you understand the pattern, which is annoying, but since somebody else made the pattern, I can't redistribute a correct pattern. That would be not very nice to the original pattern designer. So I'm sorry, love you guys. I'm not gonna do that to the original pattern designer. This one I also sell for $15. They do really well. One market, I bring 9 dinos because that's how many I can fit into my display. And one market I sold all but 2. So these do really, really well. Highly recommend. And then we have my turtles. I used to sell my turtles for $20, but now I sell them for $15 because I've gotten to a point now where I can crank them out a lot faster than I did whenever I was first learning the pattern, which I think you should always be recording on like a timer or stopwatch to see how long it takes you to make an item if you're going by time whenever you're pricing your things, because you need to know how long it takes you. But I do think that you should be retiming yourself every once in a while to see, am I faster? Am I slower? Can I lower the price of this? Should I raise the price of this? And personally, I felt like lowering the price of the turtles would make them sell a little bit faster. I did sell the turtles at $20, no problem, some markets, but then they would go unsold other markets, and I wanted them to be a more regular seller. So that's why I lowered the price. These do amazing, very, very quick. There is a little bit of like, it's really not a sewing pattern, but like you do have to make all of the different parts of the turtle and then crochet it all together. So it does take a little bit longer than the other items that I've listed. And then the last thing that is not Christmas specific are my axolotls. These I just tried out like literally my last market and they did so well. I sold 4 out of like the 12 that I prepped, and that's because I prepped 2 of each color that I did. So yeah, they did super, super well. I sold them for $15. You've seen axolotls everywhere probably, so they work. They're everywhere for a reason. And those are all of the bestsellers / non-Christmas stuffed animals that I bring to my markets. And yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes because some of those I haven't brought to a Christmas market yet, but some of them I have. So we're always trying new things. That's the most important part, is to never just get stuck in the same loop, making the same thing over and over again. Always try new things and get excited about what you're doing. Now, these are going to be the plushies that are Christmas specific, and I don't bring a ton of these, but I do like to bring some. The first one I want to talk about is actually a play on something I bring to summer markets usually, which is a Christmas pickle. Now, you may not know why that has anything to do with Christmas, or you may know exactly why that has something to do with Christmas. And I will leave that to you to go look up if you don't know what a Christmas pickle is, but my family personally did do a Christmas pickle. I don't really feel like we followed the actual tradition of the Christmas pickle, but we had one that we put on the tree. So yeah, it's definitely a if you know, you know type of thing. But I have seen a million people talk about how if they have a Christmas pickle on their booth, there will be people who immediately run up towards it and like are laughing, and they're like, oh my gosh, I have to get this for my dad because we did this every year and I've never seen anybody crochet a Christmas pickle, that type of thing. And that's exactly what you want. You want to create stuffies and accessories and all kinds of things that tie directly to a memory that somebody can cherish and immediately makes them want to get it. That is the perfect type of item. So I love to bring a good Christmas pickle to my markets. This is the pattern that I use, and yeah, I'm gonna sell these for I think 12. I think that's what I sell my normal pickles for. We'll see how much making the hat adds on to the time, but I really don't foresee it taking that much longer. I'm excited to have these, and I'll probably talk about this in the display, but I totally recommend getting an actual glass jar for your pickles. It's just so fun. It's so fun. And you can get tongs to lift them out, make it like a pickle thing. People love that type of thing. The next thing I want to talk about is a Santa plush. Now, I actually freehanded one a little bit earlier this week, and this is what I came up with. He is so adorable. He will sit on a desk. Obviously, he has to be leaned against something. He's a little top heavy, if you couldn't tell. But yeah, I just freehanded this, but there are a million patterns to make Santas, and I was actually thinking about writing this into a pattern, because if you don't know, I write a lot of patterns. So let me know down in the comments if you want this as a pattern. I'm thinking about selling this for $45 just because it has so much stuff on it. But I'm excited. I really, really like it. I think it's adorable. And I think the most important part is that it's going to draw people into my booth. You always want a bigger item to be some sort of eye-catching thing that people will walk by and be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And then it will make them walk into your booth. That can be one of them. There's also a ton of different Santa patterns. I'll put pictures and stuff up that you can try out. None of those of which I have tried, like I said, but you can. The next thing I want to talk about is a little bit of a gimmick type of thing, but I think that these types of things at booths are so interactive and super fun that they're totally worth it, especially at a winter market where I'd assume there's going to be more children. But they are snowmen that you can accessorize, basically. So you you build them. I guess technically, but you crochet a ton of snowman bodies, and then you make a bunch of different colored scarves and hats, and then you just put all of the accessories into like little bins, and then put the snowman in front, and then make a sign that says like build your own snowman type of thing. And then the kids get to pick out their snowman and their hat and their accessory and build it together, and I think that's super fun. So I crocheted this snowman also last week. The sun's making it really bright, but yeah, this is what the snowman looks like. The pattern is linked below. This is an I-cord, which I used an I-cord knitting machine to make this, and then obviously this is crochet, but I freehanded the accessories. I could totally tell you guys how I make my hats, but I'm sure there are a million patterns out there to tell you how to make tiny snowman hats and scarves. But yeah, this is one option that I came up with, and then another is like just a normal crocheted scarf with a beanie on top. So there are just a million different things that you can do to make this super interactive, and I think it's something that kids will absolutely love. And yeah, I'm really excited to bring these to my markets. The next item I want to talk about are my gingerbread men and women. I only bring one of each to each market just because they are a little bit bigger of an item. But they are very eye-catching and people love gingerbread. There are some people that decorate their entire house as a gingerbread house, so these are very popular with those people. I'm not sure how much to sell these for yet because I haven't actually made like a full one yet. I'm still working on my first one, but they are probably going to be about this tall, so I'm thinking about maybe $20 to $30. I will give you more information on that as I actually make them, and if you subscribe and watch my winter market vlogs, you will know the exact price that I sell everything for from that. Shameless plug. But yeah, these, I'm really excited to bring these, and I can't wait to see how they do. I've seen a million people talk about how well they do at markets, so I assume that they will do well for me and for you. The next thing that I want to talk about are Christmas trees. This one I actually have made, and this is free-handed by me. I actually am thinking about making the pattern for this come out very soon. I just need to finish writing the pattern and then test it, but it's so cute. And you can either do a French knot, which is an embroidery technique for the ornaments, or you can buy pom-poms and hot glue them on. So I'm excited to make another one of these and try the pom-pom thing because I literally went to the store and bought pom-poms to try it out. But I think it's going to be super, super cute, especially if you get the pom-poms that are like the glittery ones that will kind of like, not glow, but like shine. I don't know. I'm really excited for that. I'm thinking about selling this for $20 just because it's so involved, but we'll see how that goes. We might lower the price, and I need to time myself actually making it, so I will let you know as soon as the pattern is out. It will be linked below as soon as it's out. So there are a ton of other tree patterns that you can use though. They're very, very popular for a reason, so you can check those out as well. The last item that I want to talk about for Christmas specific items are penguins. I've seen these everywhere. I mean, I guess they could technically be year-round, but I think they definitely have a Christmas connotation, so I kind of lump them all together, especially if you give them little hats and scarves and things like that. I am really excited. These are probably going to be more of a smaller item, so I'm thinking 12 or 15, depending on how long it takes me. They're going to be so cute. I'm probably going to do them in the same style as my duck and mallard, so very chibi and small. So that is it for all of the Christmas specific plushies that I'm going to bring to my next market, and I hope that you try them out. So the next thing that I want to talk about in my plushie section are more characterized / personalized plushies for people. Now obviously you don't want to be making a ton of like IPs that exist like Pokemon or Mario, that type of thing. That's not allowed. There are people who do sell those types of plushies, but that's really not allowed. You're not supposed to be making money off of somebody else's IP. So the way that I do things like that, like the blue chicken, for example, obviously with Concerned Ape and Stardew Valley, he lets people make money off of his IP if they ask him for permission. But with things like a blue chicken, that's very if you know, you know type of merch, where it's not very specifically that is a Stardew Valley chicken. It is, oh my gosh, I play Stardew Valley and there's a blue chicken right there. You know what I mean? So if you want to go that type of route, then that's what I recommend. Don't do something that's like very obviously a Pokemon or something like that unless you want to risk it, but personally I don't, especially online. Then you also have things like Jellycats where you can crochet your own Jellycat. Those are very, very popular right now, and some parents don't want to spend $35 on a plushie, so they'll spend $20 on a plushie instead. That looks very similar, if not identical, to the original Jellycat. And somebody might like a handmade version a lot more. So those types of things are going to do really well at holiday markets because people are thinking of specific personalized gifts for people. The only trouble is it's really hard to guess what type of people are going to be at your market. So you could always have some sort of like sign or maybe even like a clipboard where you can take people's emails if they are willing to give them up, and be like, I create custom plushies, so if you want something specific for your kid or for your friend or for whoever you're gifting for this Christmas, then I can make it for you. Just make that really clear, and maybe you'll get some bites. So I just wanted to talk about that very briefly. It's incredibly important. The next category of items that I bring to winter markets is a lot smaller, and that is my accessories slash wearable items. This one is hard to make a lot of because you have to account for different sizes and things like that, and they take more time because they're larger. So the first thing that I want to talk about are my winter specific accessories. These are beanies and my twist ear warmers, just two things. So I create all of my beanies. I mean, I have one right here, but it's not sewed together yet. But basically I make a panel and sew it together at the top and on the side. And the way that you make it so that it's not super boxy is, as you can see here, there are 3 slip stitches on every top part of every row. And then you do back loop only, half double crochet for the rest of it. You start with a chain of 28, and then you half double crochet until the last 3, and then you slip stitch, and then you keep going back and forth until you run out of yarn, basically. If you use the Loops and Threads Charisma yarn, and then you sew it together. That's how I do my beanies, so there's not really a pattern that I follow per se. But these do incredibly well at my markets. I sell these for $25, so they're definitely a bigger ticket item, and consistently I've been selling 5 at each market that I do. And that is because I take a lot of different colors of beanies. Luckily my beanies stretch a lot, so they fit different head types. So I don't have to make like a small adult and a large adult beanie. If you do want to do like kid sizes, you would have to make different sizes for that, but I only do adult. I don't want to overwhelm myself. Highly recommend bringing your beanies to your market, especially if you are in a cold area like I am, because I sell in Flagstaff, Arizona, which I won't be for very much longer, but that's where I sell right now, and they do incredibly well here. And then we have twist ear warmers. There are many different types of twist ear warmers that you can do. Obviously, I will be linking the pattern below, but this is what my twist ear warmers look like. They are really stretchy and they're really, really soft, especially if you use good quality yarn. And I like to make some that are multicolor like this because there are people who want to wear twist ear warmers not in December, so it's good to make some that are not in Christmas colors like this. I also make some in red and green and blue and white. I haven't sewed this one together yet because I still have to add the fringe, because on my red ones I like to add a little bit of the like faux fur type of white yarn and then make it look like a Santa headband. I'll put a picture up. These do incredibly well at my markets as well. I sell these for $15, I think. It's been a whole year since I've sold them, so they're a great gift for people, and they're also great for whenever they're out shopping outside at your market and it's cold outside and they forgot to bring a hat or a ear warmer. So they do well in that regard as well. And the next thing that I want to talk about are my like hair accessories. I mean, technically the ear warmers and the beanies go on your head and the hair, whatever. It's all the same. But this is including my scrunchies and my bandanas. So my scrunchies I sell for $6 each unless they buy 3, in which they are $5 each, so $15 for all 3. And then my bandanas I sell for $20. And I have so many bandanas hanging from the sides of my tent, and all my scrunchies are on pegboards on my table. And these do incredibly well too. They make great stocking stuffers, and they're so easy because they are one size fits all. They fit every single person who has long hair and uses scrunchies, and they fit every single person who wants to wear a bandana. So they do incredibly well at markets as well. And those are all of the accessories that I bring to markets. I have brought bags and things like that before, but those don't seem to do as well for me. But definitely check out bags if that's something that interests you. The next and last category that I'm going to talk about for what I bring to markets are the holiday decor and more gifts type of thing. These are more like extremely holiday specific type of thing where they're only going to bring it out during Christmas and it's probably being bought for them. They're not buying it as a gift, really. I mean, they could be buying it as a gift, who knows? But personally, if I saw something this cute at a market, I'd buy it for myself. So the first thing I want to talk about are stockings. These are incredibly easy to make and so cute. They're so adorable. I have a red, white, and green one, and I just bought yarn to make a blue, dark blue, and white one. So we're getting all the bases here. And what I'm going to do personally is I'm just going to make one of each different color combination that I want, and then if people gravitate towards that, I'm going to tell them that they can take that one right there, or they can order on my website and get as many as they want, and I can ship it to them. So that way I don't have to make a ton of stockings that will just sit in my bin, and they can still just sit on the table and sell themselves. These are incredibly adorable, and I love them so much. I sell mine for $35, I think, because my stockings are like very sizable, like probably the size of my head and torso combined. So I do sell them for a little bit more on the expensive side, but there are people who are willing to pay the handmade price for Christmas decorations that will last in their family forever. And you can also add different things to your stockings, like you can have them personalize a like metal letter that they can add to like the hanging part of the stocking. You can add like beads, other things like that. Mine are very plain. You could also embroider people's names on the top part of the brim of the sock. So it's very customizable and it depends on what you want to actually do with it. The next thing that I'm going to talk about are pillows and that type of thing. There are a ton of different pillows out there. There are candy cane pillows, there are peppermint pillows, gingerbread houses, Santa, there are the Pillsbury cookie pillows, like so many different types of pillows. I definitely wouldn't recommend bringing more than like 3, maybe 3, okay? And if you're doing like one winter market, just bring one, okay? But these are very cute. People love getting pillows for the holidays, and so why not tap into that a little bit. I personally have 2 candy cane pillows and 1 peppermint pillow that I made, and they're really fun to make, honestly, so I highly recommend those. I think I sell the peppermint pillows, which are probably this big. I think I sell those for $25, and then the peppermint pillow, which is like a big round pillow, I think I have that one for $35, but I don't know off the top of my head. I'm sorry. And then the next thing are ornaments. I recommend having some sort of like display tree so that they can really visualize what the ornament will look like on their tree. But there are so many different ornaments. I'll put pictures of all of the ones that I'm bringing to markets and a few more. All of the patterns will be down below, as I've said. And these are really great, like $5 items that either can be stocking stuffers for people or they can buy for themselves, and they do super well. So I'm excited to bring these to my markets. Then the last thing that I want to talk about are garlands. People love garlands for Christmas and the holidays. There are so many different types you can do. You can do like orange and cranberry ones. You can do popcorn garland. You could do like different characters as garland. The possibilities are endless, actually. So I highly recommend doing something like that. You could make it as short or as long as you want. I'm personally going to be making a popcorn garland for myself, like for my tree. So I'm really excited about that. All you need are like red wood beads and some thick white yarn, and it's like perfect. It looks just like it. So I'm really excited and I can't wait to make that. So yeah. Those are the different things that are more for holiday decor than anything else that I'm going to be bringing to my markets in the future. Okay, so the second part of this video is going to be how to display your actual items, and this is going to be in 2 different parts. So the first part is how to actually arrange the items in the booth. This is something that can probably be used year-round, not necessarily for winter markets, but they're still important for winter markets. So the first thing, you've probably heard a million times, but I'm going to say it to you again because it's that important. Vertical space. Vertical space. What is the first thing that you look at when you walk into a store? the thing that is at eye level, obviously. So you want to be putting all of your items that you think will sell the best and that you're the most proud of, like your big ticket items, you're going to be wanting to put those at eye level. So that either can be by having things on your actual tables that you bring that are like risers, or maybe you have like table risers that you go under the table, or maybe you have things hanging from your tent, or if you're indoor and you don't have a tent, that's not really an option, but it's there if you're outdoor. There are things that people just will not see. And you're like, how do my bandanas keep not selling? Well, it's because nobody can see them. It's because nobody knows about them. You have to display them in a way where people can see them, imagine them on themselves, imagine their friend with it on, and immediately get it. That's what you need to be creating in your booth. Now, I will say, before I do any other points in this point, everything in moderation, okay? If everything is at eye level, nothing is at eye level. Insert syndrome right here, okay? The second thing that I want to say is that you want to make it not too overcrowded, but you don't want it to look empty. You want it to look like a store where everything is organized very nicely, but the shelves aren't empty. There's stuff on the shelves. Now this can include having like bins that are full of stuff but not overflowing, or having your hats, like there's one on a mannequin and then some laying out, but you don't want the entire table to be full of beanies, okay? This is incredibly important for not getting your customers too overwhelmed or thinking they're not really a full-fledged business because they can't fill a table. Think restocking as things sell. You don't want to have all of your stuff on the table at once. You can definitely just restock. Just keep stuff under the table. The other thing that I want to add is that the more things that you can interact with your customers, the better. So like I said, with the Christmas pickle, they're going to react to that because it has like some sort of connotation or a memory tied to that. Or the snowman, where they get to build their own snowman. Or there are people who do mystery boxes, that type of thing. Those are very, very good for retaining customers and getting them to actually buy the item instead of just being like, oh my gosh, this is the cutest thing ever, and then dipping. Yeah, you've probably heard that a million times, haven't you? It's because you're not pulling them in. There's nothing telling them this is the booth that they need to spend their money at. The next thing that I find incredibly important whenever you are organizing your booth is that it needs to be clean. Your tablecloths need to be clean. If there was a person whose dog jumped on your table and they left a bunch of paw prints on your table, you need to wash that tablecloth. You have your plushies that you sell and there's hair all over them and plushies have bits and pieces sticking out of it. It's not going to look good. You need to make sure your plushies are clean, and not even just for selling purposes. Like, you need to be selling clean plushies. And that goes for clothing and accessories and basically anything that you're selling at a market, even if you're not a crochet artist, which I don't know if you'd be watching this video if you weren't a crochet artist, but I digress. And I would also say that winter props can be fun, but don't let them outshine your product. You can have like fake snow and stuff like that, and maybe even some Christmas lights, but I wouldn't really go much more than that. I mean, I'm gonna have a tree, but that's because my ornaments that I'm gonna sell are on the tree. But I really wouldn't add much more because you want your products to be the focal point of your booth. And then the last thing that I would recommend for anyone doing any markets is to do a mock setup. You have no idea what your booth is gonna look like until you actually put it together. You can conceptualize and dream and draw it out if you want to, but you're not gonna know what it looks like until you actually do it. Especially if you're trying out something new. Like me, I do markets all the time, but I haven't done a Christmas market in forever. So I'm gonna be doing a mock setup for all of my Christmas items because I haven't put them in a booth before. The last winter market I did, I only had a table. So mock setups are incredibly important because when you get to your market the morning of, you don't want to be deciding things. That is the last thing that you want to do, is decide a million things at once. You want to just be like, oh yeah, my snowmen go here, my gingerbread go here, my Santa goes here. Boom. It's there. You're not worrying about, oh my gosh, does it look good here or here or here? The market's already started, bro. You're missing out on sales because you're standing out in front and your card reader isn't even synced up to your phone. So don't decide any of that the morning of, okay? Don't decide any of that. The next part of the whole display and organization tips that I want to talk about is tips for pricing and presentation. This kind of goes hand in hand with it, hence why it's in the same bullet point, but it's a little bit different. So I definitely would say you are worth things. You are worth things, okay? You don't need to be selling your items for pennies on the dollar, okay? You are a business person who deserves to be paid accordingly for their work. And if you are actively paying yourself less than you are worth, you're actually not only hurting yourself, but hurting everyone else at the market. Now let me explain. Before you go into the comments and start writing a whole paragraph, let me finish my thought. There are people who will come up to my booth and they will look at my items and they will say, I got that exact same thing at a booth a couple of months ago and they only sold it for $5. And in my head, I'm like, well, then they sold it for less than how much they paid for the materials to make it, which is crazy. How are you running a business like that? I mean, I get it for the people who are just doing this for fun and it's a little side hobby, but what about the rest of us, huh? Who are trying to make a living off of selling their art. So there are people who will just straight up not buy things at my booth because they've gotten it cheaper elsewhere. And I would argue that my prices are as cheap as I can possibly make them. I crank out items as fast as I can because of this fact. I like to pay myself $15 an hour, which is where I'm going with this. You need to figure out a wage to pay yourself because you need to be paid for your work. But I pay myself $15 an hour, so anything that takes less than an hour, I don't charge more than $15 for. Anything that takes more, I charge more. And for items like clothing that take so long, I don't even charge myself $15 an hour because I know that it's just kind of unreasonable. Nobody's going to pay $1,000 for a cardigan. It's important to pay yourself accordingly. It's not only detrimental to you because you are going to be working yourself to the bone trying to keep up with how much your items are selling, but you're also hurting every other crochet artist or whatever you do. You're hurting other business owners who are trying to do the same thing that you are. So, please, if you hear nothing else from this video, pay yourself accordingly. Do not be selling this big of a stuffy for $5. Please. Please. Okay? Peace and love. Peace and love. Okay? Do not do that. And a way that you can combat that, especially if you have been underpaying yourself and you're switching and you're not switching audiences, it's the same people. The way you can really just explain to people that you're not raising prices for no reason is to add tags to your items that tell the customer how long it took you to make it. I find that when customers look at the tags that I have and then they flip them over and see, oh my gosh, this took her 3 hours to make it, they are much more understanding of why it's $45 than if they just look at a plushie and say, $45? I'm not going to spend $45 on that, you know? So it's important for your customer to know that, and some of them will ask, but most of them won't. Writing it down will really, really help. Another thing to like sell your items and be a little bit more of a salesperson is to tell people when they are bestsellers. When people pick up my leggy frogs, I tell them, oh my gosh, people love to tie their legs around backpack straps and purses and tote bags and things like that. They're a bestseller. I don't know about you, but when somebody tells me everybody's doing this, I'm like, maybe I should consider doing this. You know, it's that mob mentality. We all fall into it. Even if you want to be different, even if you're an Enneagram 4, you want to be like other people sometimes, okay? You don't want to be different all the time. I definitely recommend telling people when they are bestsellers, but also, especially for winter markets specifically, tell people when they are good stocking stuffers. People will pick up a plushie that's a small plushie that you make, and they'll be trying to think, oh my gosh, who can I give this to that's like really gonna like this? And if you just say, oh, those make amazing stocking stuffers, then boom, they don't even have to think about that. Like, stocking stuffers are very, I don't know how to say this, they're not very personalized. Like, you get the same stocking stuffer for everyone in your family type of thing. At least that's how my family was. Like, we all got chapstick. We all got a gift card to Starbucks. We all got some chocolates and some candy canes. Like, that's what was in our stockings. So getting, like, when parents are looking at all of your stuff and they're like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna get for my kids? You reminding them, hey, stockings exist. They're gonna be like, oh, my 2 children would probably love these, and these would be perfect to put in their stockings. Boom. Boom. That is if parents do stockings. If Santa does stockings, who knows? But if your parents do stockings, my parents did stockings. Santa only took care of gifts at my house. Also, I kind of forgot to say in the first point that I was making here, but tell everyone that it's handmade, because some people look at your crochet and think that they got it from Temu, which there are some sellers who do, which shame on you. Shame on you. But if you hand make it, then you need to tell everyone that you hand make it. I highly recommend actually bringing a project to your booth and crocheting while you're working and talking to people, because not only does that start conversations that keep people in your booth longer so that they're browsing and talking to you, but it also proves that you actually do make everything here. And that's awesome. That's a great selling point in my opinion. And that's all I want to say about my tips for pricing and presentation. Before I talk about goals, this is something that is incredibly important. So take out your little notepad or your iPad or whatever you're writing on, and write in big letters right now. Write, I am not going to overwhelm myself. Or just say it out loud. I am not going to overwhelm myself. You know what the holiday season is supposed to be? Fun. Okay? And how are you going to have so much fun with your family and with your business if you are just constantly overworking and overwhelming yourself? You won't. So this is how we're not going to overwhelm ourselves, okay? What I do whenever I'm preparing for a big market, like a winter market or any market, is I figure out how much of each item I want to make. So for me, I like to bring 5 or 7 of each item that I know is going to sell extremely well. So my leggy frogs or my mushrooms or things like that. Obviously, do less if you think that they aren't going to do as well, and do more if you think they're going to do even better than you think. It really depends, and that's something that you get more concrete knowledge of when you start doing more and more markets in the same area. It took a while for me to get to the numbers that I'm at right now. It's not really something that'd be like, make 5 leggy frogs, make 7 turtles. I can't tell you. You gotta figure it out for yourself, okay? But you do want to figure out how many of each item you want to make. And then you want to figure out how many days until the market. Now, if you're the type of person who's like, I don't want to work on the weekends, then factor those out. But write down how many days it takes, or days until the market that you want to work on, okay? And then you're going to divide the two numbers to see how many items you have to make per day. And if that number is unrealistic for you, if you get this number and you're like, I cannot make 5 things per day, that's just impossible for me, then lower the amount of things that you need to bring. Who says that you need to bring 7 leggy frogs? Nobody. This is you. This is your business. You get to decide what you're going to do, and nobody else can tell you what to do. This is just advice, okay? So do what you need to do to be successful. And if you look at this number and you're like, I can make way more than 1 thing per day, then raise the number. But you have to make sure that those things that you're making per day are actually things that you actually like to make. You have to like crocheting. You have to like doing what you're doing to be able to do it every single day leading up to a big event, okay? You have to. And if you look at it by day, just take it one thing at a time. I only have to make 3 things today. It is so much less overwhelming. So much less. I can't tell you how many times this has just completely calmed me down and be like, I'm so overwhelmed. I have no idea how much I have to make, blah, 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 blah. I figure out all of those numbers and I look at the number and I'm like, I can do that. I can totally do that, okay? So that is how I stay. What is the opposite of overwhelmed? Underwhelmed, okay? That's how I stay underwhelmed. No, that's how I stay productive and in the mindset of creating without getting overwhelmed and overstimulated and upset and hating what I'm doing. That is how you love what you do, is you break it down. That is what I recommend to not get overwhelmed. And now we're going to get into goal setting. So when it comes to markets, I highly recommend coming up with a ton of different goals. I mean, not a ton, but some different goals to motivate yourself to be better than the last market you did. Or maybe this is your first market, so you're setting goals for yourself and you have no idea how it's going to go, but it's still fun to set goals. I highly recommend that these goals are not just monetary, because guess what? You have no control over that. You have no control. You literally have no control over what sells, over who goes to your market, over how many people go to your market. You have no control over that, so why would you make a goal about that? That's setting yourself up for failure, obviously. I mean, I always set a monetary goal for myself, but it's something like, I hope to make $500 because I make about $500 at every market. It's a realistic goal that I meet pretty consistently. I mean, if I think there are less college students here, I'm probably going to lower that goal. You have to take into account those types of things. But if you've done markets before, you can kind of set a realistic monetary goal. If you haven't, you have no idea what to expect, so don't even worry about it. The types of goals I'm thinking about are things like, I have a goal to talk to at least 3 other vendors at this market. Networking. It's so important because these vendors, you know what, they're going to be your pals for 7 hours straight when you are sitting in the trenches and it's 30 degrees outside and there's nobody going into your stall because it's 30 degrees outside and you're shivering with your little hand warmers. These are going to be the people that you're going to talk to get you through the 7 hours of torture, okay? These are also going to be the people who give you the information on where there are other markets in the area you live in. Which ones are the good ones? Which days are the best days to be at these markets because they've done it before. They've done it before, and not only have they done it before, they've done it before in the exact area you're in, which is the most valuable information that you can get at all, okay? So be friends with all of the vendors around you, no matter what. I mean, if they're mean and rude and taking customers from you, I'm not saying invite that into your life, but if they're really nice, which most of them are, talk to them, and not just like small talk, like, hey, like, get to know them. They're gonna be your friends, especially if you're signing up for a really big market. I loved my vendor buddies whenever I was going through the huge market I did throughout the summer and fall. It was a blast being able to talk to people throughout the whole market instead of just sitting in silence by yourself. You can also have goals like how many business cards you're handing out, how many people you get to follow your Instagram or TikTok or subscribe to your YouTube channel if you're trying to do YouTube. Those things are also important, and markets can be the perfect place to plug all of those things. Set goals like that. You can also run specific like product testing, like you've never tried turtles before and this is going to be the first market you do turtles. Let's see how they go. Do you have a goal to sell 2 turtles? Do you have a goal to see which color is the most popular turtle? I mean, like, I don't want to turn your business into a science experiment, but those things are important. And I would say that the most important part about goal setting is reflecting on them after. So write these goals down. Don't just have them up in your noggin, because guess what? At the end of the day, there's going to be nothing up here. Absolutely nothing. You're going to be fried and tired. Okay? So write these goals down. And then the next day, when you are refreshed and rejuvenated, look at the goals. See how you worked through some of them and see how some of them didn't work out. Those types of reflection and adjustment are incredibly important for businesses. You always need to be looking at that. That's literally what I was talking about earlier, about seeing how my turtles were selling, but not as much as my other things. And so I lowered the price because I got to a point where I could lower the price, and boom, it worked. So those type of things are incredibly important for your business. This also helps your markets be a lot less like full of pressure to succeed and get like the best market experience you've ever gotten. Because if you are more focused on talking to people and handing out business cards and being like, hey, you should follow my Instagram, then you are way less focused on sitting there in silence and being like, oh my gosh, nobody's bought anything at my booth, I'm such a failure. Oh, no, because every market, no matter how much you sell, is a success, because you're going to be doing a million different things. You can take product photography at your markets. The lighting will be great, the setup looks great if you followed the little tips I had above, okay? And those are perfect backdrops for a website that you're building, or you're networking and you're talking with other vendors and you're figuring out where the best markets are. Even if you sell nothing, you still learn that information. You still put out your name out there. You are not a failure. You're not a failure. Just for trying out markets, just for putting yourself out there, you are doing so much more than anyone else is, okay? So, you should feel like the amazing person that you are and get a cookie, okay? Reward yourself. My last tip for you before you click off this video and never see me again, if you don't subscribe, I will cry, is that it is so tempting to watch one of these videos and then immediately queue up another and then spend your entire afternoon or day just watching a bunch of content. But that's not where your business is going to thrive. The best way to prepare for your market is to actually start. Start brainstorming, start planning. If you don't even have any yarn yet, go order some yarn, okay? We all start somewhere. Please don't get stuck in the endless loop of consuming ideas and inspiration. Progress does not happen when you're consuming, it happens when you're creating. Every single successful vendor that you look up to started exactly where you are. Unsure, overwhelmed, overstimulated, have no idea where to go. The difference between a successful vendor and an unsuccessful vendor is they started. They started prepping right now. They did not just wait until the last minute and wait until the day before the market to get all of their stuff together. They were prepared. And if this video helped you feel a little bit more confident and prepared, please give it a like and subscribe. It really supports my channel and helps me reach more small business owners like you. I post weekly crochet small business content to help you grow, and I can't wait to see you again next time. Please leave a comment down below if you have any tips that I missed, any ideas or goals that you set for yourself. I want the comments to be full of very supportive vendors who help each other get to where they want to be. You've got this. Believe in yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!